I was curious about your second face run when you had come back with the Feed Me More stuff, and you were a face for quite a while before you went back to being a heel before you had left in 2016. I was curious about that because I always thought when you had come back with the Feed Me More stuff, that would have been the time where, okay, they're going to pull the trigger on him finally. This is where it happens. Put the world title on the guy. And obviously it didn't happen. What were your thoughts on that run of the Feed Me More stuff, and where do you think they dropped the ball with it? Because you were like the guy going into Survivor Series 2014 with the whole, what team is he going to choose? You know, like that would have been, I think, the point to finally make you a world champion in WWE.
Yeah, that was, so you guys, this is where I said the frustration built up over multiple points, and done interviews talking about those frustrations over and over again. And the booking, that's the disconnect for a lot of wrestling fans is, you know, that whole storyline was, we're telling everybody that I was this key piece on the team. What team am I going to go, Authority or Team Cena? That where I'm the most important piece on this, that essentially the story we're telling is whatever team I go to is the team that has the advantage. And that day at the pay-per-view, I'd already been through so much of having everything taken away, of losing millions of dollars from being taken out of the position that I was in. And again, I've talked about all this with my ankle situation and the things that were held against me. We have this story now. We have one opportunity. The crowd is firmly behind me again. We have the momentum once again. I've had all the momentum taken away already at multiple points. So it was just one of those deals where it was extremely frustrating to have to live through this. But I got to the building that day, and I'll never forget, Jamie Noble came out and goes, "All right, big man, we got to get you out first." And just right then and there, I wish I would have left right then and there, to be honest with you, just walked out, because it was one of the, it makes no sense. And if you go back and watch that match, even though we protected me as far as having me take multiple finishes to get me out, listen to the air in the crowd get sucked out of them when I get pinned. It's a huge letdown. Yeah. And there's nothing I can do about that. I have no say in that. If I'm going to be, I'm under contract to them, I got to go out and do what is asked of me out of respect for all the other talent in the match. And that's what you do. I've always been a professional in that regard. It's the most frustrating thing in the world, though. And it was, you work your entire life for something and you realize that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's because it's what one guy wants to go out there and he wants you to be portrayed as something else. And that's something for me that I don't like about wrestling. I'm a winner. I have a winner's work ethic. I've always been a winner. I don't want to be portrayed as a loser. Call me selfish. I don't give a shit. I know how hard I work to look the way that I do without steroids and be one of the greatest power wrestlers of all time. And again, very confident. You have to be to make it in this. It's, to me, I take it very personal. And it was really tough, but I've learned a lot from all of it. And, you know, even then, I'd already given up at that point mentally with that company, with everything with Vince. I didn't trust him, didn't trust Hunter at that point. And at that point, like, if you talk to a lot of guys there, pretty much everybody, it's just a paycheck. Yeah. And so you're just collecting weekly paychecks, and it doesn't, you just quit caring because there's nothing you can do about it. And I've gone in and I've said my piece numerous different occasions, and it's not my company. And I realize, as cool of a job as it is, it's not my company. It's not, I have two choices. I could stay and be unhappy and keep complaining, or I could leave and take my fate into my own hands. And that's what I chose to do. And obviously, though, my health had played a major contributing factor to that. And with people like for them, and I always like to state this because it's important to understand, I wanted to work everything out with WWE, and health-wise, everything should have been covered by them because all my injuries are from them. But I didn't know at the time how seriously injured I was. I just knew I was really, really messed up, and I'd asked we were in contract negotiations, and I'd asked to let my contract run out in August. And I was the Intercontinental Champion at the time. Yep. Which Mark Carrano had said, he goes, you don't want to do that, big guy. We're gonna job you out. We're gonna pull you off TV, and we're gonna fire you. You know the way that it works around here. And he patted me on the back and walked away. Now, that's when everything changed for me after being there my entire life, essentially, and being hurt and knowing I was hurt. And I didn't want to tell them, guys, I'm fucked up. I wanted just to try to ride it all out, and then I was going to take time off, and I was going to figure out what was wrong with me, and then hopefully I was going to be able to come back. That was the goal at the end of the day with all this. And to be met with that negativity and that kind of, and just to be told that, me unlike anything else. And I knew it. I had my trademarks for the big guy and Feed Me More. And I was unhappy. I didn't want them having Ryback because I had created that when I had nothing and was not employed or not under contract by WWE. And they had trademarked that without my permission. So I was very unhappy over that stuff. I had a bunch of changes made to the contract that if I was going to stay and I wanted a bus, this was my big contract because I wanted to hold them accountable to use me the way that they should have used me from the start.
Yep.
But I was so hurt that I made this contract. I was like, if I'm going to stay here, I need this to be 100%. If not, I know I'm leaving. I'm not worried. And I walked out eventually when I saw they were going to start embarrassing me on TV. And I said, that's it. I know I did my commitment. I put over Kalisto on 2 pay-per-views my way out.
Yep.
And in great talent and no problem doing that, did business, always a professional when I was there, and I chose to leave. In which when I left, though, I found out, I told you my health issues. Mm-hmm. I was told I needed a 5-disc fusion in my back and a shoulder replacement in my right shoulder from doing the backpack stunner for all those years on my back wrestling. And also my shoulder, there was 2 issues. WWE, they were aware of my injuries, and the doctors there, and I love them, but they have the shittiest job in the world. They were pumping me full of a drug called Toradol mm-hmm. and cortisone into my shoulder joint, which the Toradol was hiding my back pain at the level that it was. So I have these nerve injuries, these disc issues. I was getting muscle weakness and cramping, and I couldn't lie down, and my back would lock up. And so the fix on that for them was just keep pumping me full of these drugs to keep me going week to week. And the cortisone ate away all my cartilage in my right shoulder and caused all these other problems from a structural standpoint. So when I left, I got bombarded with all of this. Injuries I thought that were going to heal, and I gave them like 4 or 5 months to heal. Mm-hmm. They didn't heal. And then my contract ran out in August, and I got these MRIs and realized, holy shit, I should have done this while I was under contract with them, because they don't cover you once the contract runs out. They wash their hands of you, which is another reason why I've spoken up about WWE and the healthcare, because it's so important to me, and seeing a lot of these old timers of what happens to them. And a lot of the guys there, you're handcuffed and can't say anything about it and whatnot. But I chose to go the stem cell route. I've had 11 stem cell procedures on 4 on my back and 7 on my shoulder. Mm-hmm. My back is nearly all better. And I've been blessed. A company, BioAccelerator, reached out to me a couple months ago. They're flying me down to Colombia. They're giving me over $30,000 worth of treatment with umbilical cord stem cells, which are, just to put this in perspective, the United States has a lot of limitations on the stem cell, how much they can use. Mm-hmm. So each treatment I get in the United States is between like 3,000 and 8,000 stem cells. Mm-hmm. Over there, they are going to be using between 40 and 60 million stem cells per treatment. And the healing, that's why a lot of pro athletes go to these other countries, because the level at which they're able to do it, it causes massive healing. Mm-hmm. And they want me to be able to return back to wrestling. And as do I. But through their treatment that they're giving me entirely for free, and I thank God, will hopefully allow me to be able to return to wrestling by early 2020.